So I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I kind of forgot about the nostalgia series. I mean, it never fully slipped my mind. I still remembered that I said I was gonna do that, but I just never thought to do something from that series. Every time I was trying to come up with a video idea, I was like, what do I want to do? What will I do this week? And it was like, it just never came into my mind. And I think the main reason for that is because the two main games that I spent the most time on when I was younger, Ben 10, Protector of Earth, and Simpsons Hit and Run, I only have on the PS2, and I can't record PS2 games. Now, I'm aware that this is available on the original Xbox, which I can record through the Xbox 360, and that this is available on the Wii, which I can record through the Wii U. So I do have ways of recording them, but I don't currently own those versions of the games. So I was just going to wait out to cover these two, probably this one, considering this was the first video game I ever owned, and okay, is this even in here? Oh, it is in here. This wasn't making any noise, so I was like, I wonder if it's even in there, but it is. I don't know. But when I came to do a video last week, I was scrolling through Steam to see if there was any like sort of cheap games, and what did I see but a game on Steam, which I had on my wish list because I wanted to buy it on Steam anyway, that I grew up with on the Wii, called Hidden Mysteries Titanic, Secrets of a Fateful Voyage. I actually forgot what the game was called. And I bought it on Steam in order to do a video on it. However, the Steam version of the game, I found out, is fucking terrible because it removes a good bit of the dialogue and a bunch of the choices from this game. So then, after recording about 20 minutes of footage of the Steam version, I just quit and had to boot up my Wii U to record this. And now I'm recording the footage for this a day before the video is going to go out, and I feel like I'm going insane. You're up to Point.xx here, and welcome back to Point by Point, the show where I go point by point through a game or show or whatever and give you my opinions. I'm Point, and as I said, today we are going to be covering Hidden Mysteries Titanic, Secrets of a Fateful Voyage. I almost forgot what the game was called again. And yeah, as I said, I actually grew up with this game on the Wii. Now most of you have probably never actually heard of this game because, well, nobody seems to have heard of it. But I grew up with this because I remember my mum actually bought it on the Wii because whenever she was younger, she played a Titanic game on the PC, which is also available on Steam. I think I actually own that. But, so she bought this sort of thinking it may have been something similar. And it wasn't, but I sure as hell got a lot of fucking fun out of playing this game because I had a weird obsession with the Titanic whenever I was younger. I don't know why, I always found that shit super interesting. And funnily enough, it was actually around the 100-year anniversary of the disaster, which was kind of weird because there was fucking Titanic shit all over the place in 2012, if anyone remembers that. So yeah, as I said, when I was scrolling through Steam recently, I realized that this game was actually on offer, like for less than £1. So I was like, fuck it, I may as well get it. And yeah, the Steam version's terrible. It removes, like, this is meant to be a choice-based game. And it removes all the choices. It just picks one of the answers for you, which is fucking stupid. So yeah, I had to boot up a fucking Wii U to play this game, and I wasn't even sure if this fucking copy was going to work, because I have had problems with this copy before. I'm pretty sure, if I haven't checked the disc, but I'm pretty sure the disc is all, like, fucked up. Oh, it's actually not that bad, okay. But I have had problems with this disc in the past, so I risked doing this. But yeah, one playthrough of this fucking game later, and I'm here ready to make a video on it. So I'm gonna stop stalling and just get right into this bullshit. So the game starts off with a monologue from our main character talking about how revolutionary the Titanic was for the time. Now, I do think this is actually a pretty good intro, but there are some lines in here that don't really make much sense. Like the line, "Why cling to a candle when you can have an electric light?" Despite the fact that this takes place in 1912, and by that point, electricity had been around for a good 30 to 40 years. The light bulb was invented in the 1800s, so we're kind of off to a good start, but also kind of off to a bad start. We then cut to a 3D animated cutscene which has just the ugliest models, even by Wii standards, where we find out that our main character is a newlywed who's about to embark on a voyage on the Titanic. It's weird because these 3D animated cutscenes, I think there's about 20 of these in the game overall. They usually string together the chapters, and there's about 20 of those, at least the back of the box says so. Which is weird because this game is actually a visual novel, kinda. It's kinda weird. It's more of a point and click. I don't know what the fuck this game is. So after the most stock, boring loading screen of all time, we get into the actual game.
Good morning, sir and madam. Welcome aboard the pride of the White Star Line RMS Titanic. May I have your boarding passes, please?
Shoddy looking art and fake British accents? We are in for a good time. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but something about this just feels like cheap. I don't know whether it's the really weird looking character portraits or just everything about the main picture. It's just weird. Anyway, on to the task at hand. We play as Margaret Ashley, and this is our husband, Robert Ashley. We're trying to get onto the Titanic in first class. However, we don't have our boarding pass. Apparently, Robert gave our boarding pass to our butler, whatever the fuck his name was, so we have to now go and look for him and try and get the boarding pass back. However, on our way there, we meet...
Hello, lady.
What are you doing nosing about baggage?
Looking for my rat.
Rat?
Uh-huh. Think he's done for. But my brother says there are plenty of rats on the ship. Maybe I'll just catch one of them instead.
A blatant stereotype of a third-class child. This isn't even the last stereotype we're going to come across in this game. So moving on from just straight up fucking stereotypes, we go over to the second and third class boarding deck, where we finally find the butler.
Madam, I assure you, my intent was not to harm the boy.
Well, you weren't being friendly.
I do believe he picked my pocket.
I did no such thing.
I assure you, madam, he did. Mrs. Ashley?
Montague, do you have my boarding pass?
Margie?
Mother? What on earth are you doing here?
Oh god, here we go. So apparently this is our character's mother, and she isn't particularly fond of our character's husband Robert, and to be honest, neither am I. He's a bit of a dick, but more on that later. So we ask our butler, whose name is apparently Montague, where our boarding pass is. Then he says, I have it. Oh wait, I don't have it. That boy stole them. And surprise, surprise, the child he's talking about is the stereotype we talked to about 5 minutes ago. You see, the way this game works is there's about 20 levels in the game overall, at least the back of the box says so. And each of these levels consist of multiple different rooms. In each room, you have a goal that you have to accomplish. So you have to go about each room trying to find clues to what that goal is, and try to find items that'll help you get there. But what this leads to is just repetitive gameplay, going about clicking basically everything until you pick something up, and then applying it to almost everything. It's not particularly interesting. The only real thing that could save the game at that point is the story. And even at that, the story isn't particularly interesting either. It's just kind of all over the place with the most blatant stereotypes of characters. So long story short, George tells us that our mother is actually the one who took the boarding passes. We get it back from her, and then we eventually board the ship. However, this is where we first find out how much of a dick Robert is.
Stateroom 4B is just down the starboard hull from the entrance. Stateroom 12B is down the port hall.
Pardon me? Is that correct, Robert? We have separate cabins?
Well, yes, my dear. I thought it would be more comfortable for you.
More comfortable. More comfortable. More comfortable. You take action for her comfort and don't confront her about it? Are you insane? So the second part of the game is a really interesting case. It doesn't tell you what your goal is. In the first part, you are directly told you have to find the butler and get your boarding pass. In this one, you just kind of have to mess around until you find out what to do. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to get an egg from the kitchen and a bit of bamboo from here, even though it is not clear in the slightest that you can even take the bamboo, and then move this bird, put the egg and the bird in this nest, and suddenly the fucking mirror opens. I have no idea how in the name of Jesus Christ you're meant to work that shit out, but yeah, the game expects you to work that out.
No, this won't do at all. You're not meant to be here.
What the fuck just happened? So apparently this creepy looking fuck is named Dean Tavaloris. Apparently he helped design the ship and designed this little part for himself that nobody else knew about. However, that doesn't make any sense because he didn't build the ship, he only designed it. So while the people were building it, somebody was bound to find out about this bullshit. I swear to Jesus Christ, this doesn't make any sense. So fast forward and past that a little bit, we find another mirror that we're supposed to leave through, and...
Maybe if I put my...
But of course, it never came to pass because the... What was that? Did you see that?
Jesus, I thought the George kid from earlier was bad. That is really bad. My God. Anyway, you have to go through a bunch of other bullshit to get those two to move, and then you eventually get out and move on to the next area, when suddenly the game found itself not having a goal to work towards, so it gave itself one. So Montague tells us that he saw a woman arguing with a crew member about being allowed up in first class, and the crew member wouldn't let her up because she looked poor even though she had a first class ticket, which I'm pretty sure he's not allowed to do. He then tells us that this woman was not a stranger to him.
Please don't tell me it was my mother.
I'm afraid it was.
So our new goal is to get into third class to confront our mother. We're then forced to do a bunch of other bullshit tasks like separating a deck of cards, finding a book for a child, sorting books in a library, and finding clothes to wear that make us look poor so we can go down to third class. And once we're down there, we once again run into George, who for the third time in this game gets us to do something for him so he'll give us information. This time he wants us to go and find his ball game that he lost, and then he'll tell us where he saw our mother. This then leads to more tasks we have to do, one of which being opening up this locker, which leads to a minigame, which isn't uncommon for this game. And most of the minigames up to this point I was able to do, but this one, it just didn't work right. I had to use the Wiimote's motion controls to turn the damn thing, and it was so fucking finicky that I just gave up. But that wasn't it over, because this game, despite being a fucking puzzle game, has the option to skip every single puzzle. Now this may have been done because of how hard some of them were to play, but if your game's puzzles are so fucking badly designed that you have to put a skip button in to fucking fix it, maybe you shouldn't release your fucking game. Seriously, basically all of these suck except for George's ball game. Probably because that one is actually designed to be like a game that someone would want to play. And it succeeded in that, so why have all the others just be bullshit motion controls? So we eventually meet our mother, and George just kind of sits in the back like a creepy doll, and this section is finally over. In this section, apparently, we're dining with the captain, but Robert feels sick, but refuses to go to the doctors because, oh, it's weak and all this bullshit. So we have to go to the doctor and get a pill for him. However, the doctor doesn't want to deal with it, so we have to go and injure a man just so we can sneak in and steal medication. Really? What in the fuck was the point of this? Also, I'd just like to bring up that there's actually a recurring puzzle in this game where you have to find 10 or so items hidden within an area, and yeah, these fucking suck, but it's not as bad in the Wii version as it is in the Steam version. In the Steam version, there's even more of these. Even in areas where you're only picking up one item, you have to pick up that item and a bunch of other ones just to get that one item. So yeah, I can't stress this enough. If you are going to go near this game for some fucking reason, stay the fuck away from the Steam version because it's somehow worse. So after that, we skipped the next 4 fucking days. We did our first day on the ship, and now we're skipping to when the thing sinks. Clearly they were running out of ideas with this game. So in this section, we're trying to wake Robert up because that motherfucker somehow slept through the ship hitting a goddamn iceberg. What the fuck was he doing the night before? So since we can't get into Robert's room, we have to get creative with it. So what does fucking Margaret do? She gets a bunch of bells, puts them on Montague's cat, and throws his cat through the window in through Robert's window. This woman is insane. So Robert finally wakes up and basically just tells his wife to fuck off, the fucking bastard. So that whole section was essentially pointless. So in the next section, we try to get answers out of the captain, who admits that we did hit an iceberg, but tries to make us believe that we're going to be fine. But we don't believe him. So we go and check a bunch of the radio transmissions by stealing parts from another one and put them into another one. This doesn't make any fucking sense. So eventually we do get a message, but we can't read it. So who is going to read it? That creepy mirror fucker from earlier. So he basically tells us, yeah, the ship's fucked and they're going in reverse, which is going to make things even worse. So he basically tells us how to fix that. And this is the one part of the game I think is genuinely interesting. Because while you're trying to get the stuff to stop the engines going in reverse, you have to manage how much water goes into each room. Which is interesting. You have to use this machine to change the water levels of each room by rerouting the water to another room. I really like that. The only problem with it is, it's incredibly confusing, and I did have to use a couple hints and skips along the way, I'm not gonna lie to you. But overall, I do like the concept of it. Okay, maybe the game's starting to pick up. Alright, where do we go from that actually kind of interesting section?
It doesn't matter. Listen to me. We have to get to a lifeboat. Immediately.
I'm not going anywhere until I get my Bermuda highball.
Nope! I'm done. I am fucking done! This drunk motherfucker refuses to listen to his wife, who's telling him that the ship is sinking, and won't move until he gets his drink, or Bermuda Highball, whatever the fuck that means. So we have to go and we have to make him his drink. But here's the funny thing. There is a highball on the list here, but it's not a Bermuda one. So I made that one and gave it to him, but he said no. So I then found out that what was wrong with it was I put the wrong topping. I put a pineapple on the top, which made it a Hawaiian highball. What he needed was a lime. So this man got angry because I put the wrong thing at the top of his glass. The drink was right. This motherfucker, I swear to God, I'm going to tear his head off. So, now that he has his drink, we're going down in the lift.
All right then, Edek. I hope you find what you're looking for.
Funny. I hope she doesn't.
I'm going to kill him.
What just happened? Robert, are you okay?
Vengeance! But yeah, the following section is one of the most forgettable in the game. The only thing that's really worth bringing up here is that the Grand Staircase appears, and of course everyone knows what the Grand Staircase is, but it's fucking boring. In the end, you wake the cunt up and he still doesn't believe you, so again, all of this was for nothing. There's another section where you have to help George and the doctor or some shit. I actually don't know. This is one of the worst ones in the game as well, so we're just going to move on past it. In the next section, a character called Odette, who I forgot to bring up earlier, who is apparently here with some mummy or something, and she believes that this mummy called Man Calray has put a curse on the ship and that's why it's sinking, so she's not moving to the upper deck because she wants to go down with it. I think she's crazy. Find 10 potatoes. Did you forget who you were talking to? Alright, so I'm gonna be real with you guys. There's really nothing else to talk about throughout the rest of this game, so I'm basically just gonna skip to the end of it here. So there's one choice in the game where you have to choose whether you're gonna get on a lifeboat with Robert or with your mother. Now, on the back of the game box, it states multiple endings, but from what I can tell and from what I can remember from when I was younger, this is the only choice that determines whether or not you get the good or bad ending, I guess. So if you go with the mother, everybody survives. But I think I remember that if you go with Robert, the mother dies. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think I remember something about that from when I was younger. But yeah, don't quote me on that, because I only finished this game once and I went with the mother. But this is such a shit ending. It doesn't really have any ending for the characters, you don't get any of that stuff. It's just some monologue about how disastrous the whole thing was, which everybody has already known for over 100 years at this point. This game feels just pointless. I don't know what to say about it. It tries to make you feel for a lot of the characters, but it just failed in most areas. The only character I ever sympathized with was the mother, because she was just trying to do the right thing for her daughter. Everyone else was fucking terrible, and that's why I'm going to recommend that you stay the fuck away from this game, whether it be the Wii, DS, or Steam version. There is a bonus section that you unlock after beating the game where the captain talks about several ways it could have been prevented, but many of them just seem like bullshit and it's just boring overall, so it doesn't really add much. So that's all I have to say about the game. I grew up with it, I liked it back then, but it has not aged well. And that always sucks, but it just shows how we all grow, how our tastes change over the years, and how we become a lot more, you know, less, I suppose a lot less tolerant to bullshit. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section below, telling me if you've played this game and what you think of it, because not a lot of people seem to have played this. Subscribe if you haven't already, I'll see y'all next time. Peace.